Why Wall Street Cares About Your Supply Chain, Module 1, Driving Improvements to Business Valuations. Hi, I'm Chuck Poyer, a partner with Computer Sciences Corporation, and I'd like to explain why Wall Street cares about your supply chain. I'll be joined in this series of presentations by Joe Hornberger, Senior Vice President at Manhattan Associates, and CSC's Jerry Boltine, who is a subject matter expert in finance and the author of the Technology Issues for Financial Executive Survey, which is conducted annually by CSC and the FEI. Together, we'll share our insights and recommendations on what we see as the next big business opportunity, supply chain finance, a technique for adding value across the business enterprise. Mostly, we'll discuss how financial executives can become active with supply chain management and add extra value to the business, and please Wall Street at the same time. Today's business environment is a tough proposition and getting tougher. Billions of dollars in revenue and market capitalization are won or lost on the ability of your business to respond to customer demand in an appropriate and timely manner. But in most cases, future demand is far from predictable, and customers, if not satisfied, will go quickly elsewhere. Industry leaders are aggressively leveraging their supply chains to become lean and responsive and to capture market share, often on a global basis. More and more financial officers play an active role in this environment by challenging their organizations to unlock the full potential of their supply chain networks. We see leaders using supply chain finance to make a bigger impact on their company's overall performance. From that perspective and your point of view, let's start by asking some personal questions. Is your supply chain a necessary evil, or is it a strategic weapon? Does it better utilize assets and create free cash flow? Can it create competitive differentiation that leads to new customers or increased penetration of existing customers? Will the results appear as increased earnings per share? Has your supply chain driven shareholder value? If you didn't respond positively to these questions, you're not benefiting from the advantages of a fully optimized supply chain effort. Speed, innovation, and true collaboration between supply chain trading partners are the key enablers to meeting customer demand, capturing market share, continually lowering costs while maintaining or improving quality, and beating competitors. And let us make a key point. Chief financial officers are becoming advocates and catalysts in driving and ensuring that each addition to supply chain capability delivers improvement in overall network value. Applying this CFO savvy to all aspects of supply chain management is a pivotal behavior among industry leaders. To illustrate this point, if we could assemble a panel of supply chain executives from a group of recognized industry leaders, which might include such firms as Toyota, Procter & Gamble, Walmart, Boeing, Nike, and Colgate-Palmolive, they would give these reasons for why Wall Street cares about supply chain. Analysts see supply chain as a route, no, a highway to increasing shareholder value, sometimes leading to a doubling of earnings per share. Industry leaders have achieved best practices to key process steps, such as creating the perfect order. The Pathfinders have extended these practices across their supply chain networks, creating value-managed enterprises. The result is a business network where value is added at each step in the processing. Supply chain meets the contemporary focus being given to top line, generating new revenues, as well as bottom line, lower costs, higher profits, improvement. Proven results document that as much as 3 to 8 points of new profit can be added to earnings. Market values substantially increase as leaders begin to dominate a specific industry.
You're right, Chuck. That's exactly how supply chain executives would view the situation. But CFO looks at it a little differently. I'm Joe Hornberger from Manhattan Associates. I'd like to start by adding that Wall Street cares about your supply chain because of the potential impact such an effort can have on managing tangible and intangible risk, an extremely important issue for today's financial officers and the businesses for which they work. Many companies base their supply chain strategy solely on getting to the lowest operational cost. For that part of the effort, they only consider the tangible risk, such as meeting commodity prices, controlling labor and inventory costs, and managing accounts receivable and payable. By taking such a single-minded view and not bringing focus to the full potential to be gained, results are typically sub-optimized and not sustained. In simple terms, unmanaged, partially applied supply chain efforts can crush profits, diminish brand and reputation, and reduce dependability of earnings. To effectively drive increases to earnings per share and deliver real impact to the overall business valuations, smart organizations are adding to their management activities by addressing tangible and intangible risks across the extended supply chain network. These hidden risks are part of the total landed cost, and they include such things as reducing fluctuations in service levels, responding effectively to demand variations, adapting to increasing supply chain network complexity, cutting lead times to those appropriate for the customer, and bringing new advantages through visibility and shorter cycle times. By leading this deeper analytical approach, CFOs can create immediate values from the identification and reduction of each component of supply chain risk across the enterprise, of which their business is just one part. Such a move drives steadily increasing predictable earnings per share and higher market valuations. When this thinking and benefits are incorporated into a contemporary focus on top line, new revenues, as well as bottom line, lower cost improvements, Wall Street's expectations can be met. But keep in mind that a recent study by the Aberdeen Group revealed that 82% of companies surveyed said they were concerned about supply chain risk, but just 11% were actively managing that risk.
There's yet another aspect at work in what we're considering. As Wall Street analysts see supply chain as a route to increasing shareholder value, their expectations are driving a new or sometimes expanded approach to delivering substantial increases in sustainable values, gained through advanced supply chain efforts. The same Aberdeen survey indicated 69% of the corporations were actively using or investigating supply chain finance as a strategy. Clearly the next frontier for gaining a supply chain advantage. But here's the catch. Traditional approaches target specific components of the supply chain focus in a vacuum, chasing what is called point solutions or discrete benefits to one process step or one segment of the business, thereby delivering limited and generally not sustained improvement. Industry leaders, however, have identified the key process steps that make a measurable difference to customers, internally and externally, and transform these steps into best practices. They subsequently move up the supply chain maturity model, taking those best practices across the business enterprise, collaborating and receiving help from trusted business partners to deliver the best value across the entire supply chain network. As supply chains progress in the maturity model to level 4, they become collaborative networks, linking suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, and customers together with logistics operations. Leading organizations integrate supply chain improvements into these networks in order to achieve and sustain optimum results. Such a technique enables CFOs to adopt a measured approach to mitigate risks and manage trade-offs as they transform their business into a value-managed enterprise. To generate real value, a business needs to consider multiple domains in order to drive both cost and revenue improvements, including baseline current performance to set consistent measurements in order to manage, monitor, and integrate improvement initiatives. Adopt lean concepts to drive lasting improvements to the total cost structure. Implement appropriate quality standards to eliminate problems and hold the gains. Selectively outsource weak processes to the most capable partner. Leverage advanced supply chain methodology to create differentiation in the eyes of the most desired customers. And use the advantages to build new revenues and profits.
It has to add up. And that brings us back to why Wall Street cares about your supply chain. It all comes down to the bottom line. By adopting the contemporary view of supply chain optimization with a focus on tangible and intangible risk, proven results show that CFOs can help their organizations add 3 to 8 points of new profit to earnings. As leaders begin to use these advantages to dominate their chosen markets, their respective market evaluations increase as well. But CFOs and treasurers need to step up and become part of the solution. In essence, supply chain is not just the latest means to find ways to cut cost. There's a larger return on investment, one that could bring new business value to your supply chain efforts. The keys to deployment are basic. You need to understand the full potential of a supply chain improvement effort and understand how to develop and leverage process improvements across the networks within your unique supply chain enterprise.
We hope we've piqued your interest and you'll join us for more of this series. In future modules, we'll discuss the specifics of how a Chief Financial Officer can play a vital role in making certain the business reaps the maximum benefit from its supply chain efforts. Until then, we wish you the best with your financial improvement efforts.